We're here outside 8-time Guild of Gold Lion winners Hawkins Motors, which isn't your average dealership.
It all began in 1933 when Billy Hawkins rode from Truro to the clay village of St Stephen on his Scots Squirrel motorbike.
Here he founded a business which today thrives as Hawkins Motors.
There are now 7 locations across Cornwall, but St Stephen still stands as the hub of the business and is far from your average car dealership.
With an exhibition of memorabilia from decades gone by.
Including Billy's very own motorcycle taking pride of place.
The display aims to give a little insight into the communities which the business has been part of for over 80 years.
There's even a cafe on site.
Aptly named Memories.
The business also has huge success selling electric vehicles,
which Johnny also uses to deliver parts to his customers all over Cornwall.
With electric vehicles being aimed mainly at city drivers, this is incredibly unusual and a huge achievement.
Right then, I'm going to join Johnny in the museum.
What shall I do?
Why don't you interview Bradley and have a chat about electric vehicles?
I will. So I'm here with Bradley Harris, who's been pivotal in progressing electric vehicle sales for Hawkins Motors. Bradley, thank you for joining us.
No problem, Paul.
So first of all, tell us a bit about your background, because I understand it's not in vehicle sales, is it?
No, not originally. I came from electrical retail, so my knowledge has always been around electrical goods, which then going into electrical vehicles was a stepping stone for me. Battery terminology, all that sort of thing, lithium ion and nickel metal hydride, all those terminologies that customers don't really know what they are, I already knew how to put them into understandable terms and could explain the benefits to the customers.
So you found the transition fairly easy, I guess, for the same.
Pretty much, yeah. It was an ideal shoe-in for me. As soon as I joined, I thought electrical vehicles, that's where I can put my focus and my stamp on things.
So ordinarily, electric vehicles are aimed at city drivers for city driving, and we're clearly in a very rural setting here. So how do you go about getting people into electric vehicles in this kind of area?
It's a good question. Originally, it was Johnny's inspiration to start looking into electrical and what do we do and how do we adopt it. So he was one of the first dealers to actually take on board electrical, and we signed up straight away to the Ion when it became available. From that, I purchased one just to see how they were, make sure I was comfortable with it, and then I could then easily relate to customers when they're walking in and easily qualify them by asking them, where do you drive to? If they're local community drivers, they're only going from one town to another, Cornwall is perfect for it because every location is within the driving radius of the vehicle. People in cities you'd think would be similar, but of course they often have to get out onto the motorways, drive a fair distance, and then back into a city again. So actually Cornwall, although it wasn't originally thought would be a great position for it, it has turned out to be one of the best locations we found for electrical vehicles.
So Bradley, what do you think the future holds for electric vehicles?
The way I see it going, there's going to be a steep curve of hybrid vehicles becoming available, where it's a plug-in option. You can have a bit of electric, you can go from A to B, but then if you want to go the longer journey, you can then do that. As soon as battery technology gets to the point where you can go 250, 300 miles, which some manufacturers are already doing, but unfortunately the price tag isn't attracting a wide audience, at that point, as soon as the batteries become affordable for the range, suddenly you're going to see a huge uplift. And we've already seen from 3 manufacturers when I started, and that being Peugeot included, to being nearly 28 manufacturers now supplying electric vehicles. The demand is out there. It's just a question now of educating the public of what the options are.
Bradley, thank you very much for your time. Right then, I know Johnny's really keen to walk us around the dealership, so let's go and have a look.
So Johnny, thank you very much for inviting us down to your dealership.
You're welcome.
So can you tell us a bit about this particular dealership, because it's quite special, isn't it?
Well, it is very special to us. Dealerships in the depth of Cornwall. My grandfather started our company back in the 30s, not very far away from this branch that we're currently sitting in. And we're just in a little rural village near the bigger town of St Austell. Yeah, my grandfather started back then repairing push bikes and repairing motorcycles.
So is that how the Motorcycle Museum came about then? Tell us a bit about the history of this place.
Yeah, the history really, yeah. Third generation I am, and back at the time, my grandfather there wasn't really many motor cars on the road at the time, and so it was back into the two-wheel transport, push bikes, motorcycles, and it was just a little repair shop when it started. And then over the years he progressed in selling the motorcycles as well as just repairing them. He had agencies for things like BSA and Triumph in those early days, and then after that, obviously, you know, the motor cars started coming along, and he then found that he became an agent for BMC, which was obviously before the days of British Leyland. It wasn't when I was around, I can assure you. So he went on he went on then with the cars, and still kept in touch with the motorcycles, still kept repairing them, and we just expanded from there. And for many of the years, many of the motorcycles were being part exchanged against the cars. So that's how we ended up really with a superb motorcycle collection. Many of them original, many of them supplied by my grandfather, many have Cornish number plate on them. And then my father then continued that and continued to collect them.
So we have your grandfather's motorcycle here in the museum,
yeah,
don't we?
We do. We have a Scots Squirrel, which was what he used to come to work on. He had it back in the early 30s. The vehicle then, the bike then disappeared a few years later, and my father managed to track it down back in the early 80s, which was a bit of a mess, but put it back into a bit of a restoration process, and it's sat in this museum for the last 30 years.
So you've got a cafe here. That's quite unusual as well, isn't it?
Yeah, this cafe's been here for a long time. Because we're in a rural area, back in the late 90s, we didn't want people to go off site. We want, you know, the more people we can keep on site, the better it is for business. So what we did, we set up a cafe where everything's free for all our customers. We make them lunch, maybe only basic lunch. We make them lunch, coffees, teas, afternoon teas, and things like that. And in this environment with the motorcycles as well, people really they really like it. They come from many places, many parts of the county and further afield to actually come here and enjoy the experience.
So there's quite a community spirit. How have you really nurtured that, and what's the advantage of having that?
Well, I think any business needs a community spirit, to be honest, if it's going to be successful. And this is a debate that we have ongoing, really. Should we be rebuilding a nice new dealership in the current location, or should we be finding that we should be going somewhere different? And I think the decision's made to stay in this location because we have got the community spirit, and that's been brought about purely by being involved in lots of activities within the community. My father was a big Rotary Club member in the local town of St Austell, made lots of friends through it, put a lot of hard work into it, did a lot of charity work, and we had a lot of spin-off from that, to be honest, and we still do today. We're very much involved in helping out the local cricket, the football clubs around the surrounding area, and there's a lot of loyal people. In a village like St Stephen, we've got a lot of loyal customers and a lot of loyal people.
So they'll just keep coming back and back?
I think as long as we look after them and do a good job with them, I'm sure they will. I hope so.
So in terms of electric vehicles, that's quite interesting because we're obviously in Cornwall. Do you sell a lot of electric vehicles? Yeah,
I mean, I think a few years ago we had a very, very successful couple of years selling the Peugeot Ion and the Citroen equivalent C0. We did do a good job. We had somebody that specialised in it, and in the period we sold about 350 combined electric vehicles just from this branch alone, because we were passionate about it, and in truth, Vicky, they were the right price at the time.
Mm-hmm. So I understand you deliver your parts with an electric vehicle? Yeah,
we were fortunate to be one of the first with the centralised parts hub for the county, and so we have quite a big parts operation where we make lots of deliveries, and we have a couple of electric partner vans which we do those deliveries in, and we've done a lot of miles in one of them, to be honest, and we're quite successful at that. In the early days when we first adopted electric vehicles, we also fitted a rapid charger which enables us to recharge the van in about 45 minutes to go out and do another trip. So that makes a big difference. We have those rapid chargers based at our St Stephen branch where we are today, but also at our Hale branch, which is about as far west as you can go. So that helps. The infrastructure makes a big difference on electric vehicles.
Absolutely. So how much would you say that actually saves you?
We have done some calculations on it in the past, and without having them at hand, we're probably talking about £2,500–3,000 per vehicle per year.
Wow.
That we would save by running electric vehicles.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for talking to us today.
You're welcome.
Ordinarily, radiant teeth, beauty lingers out of reach. You're my DCOD. Man, we went grey.
Wow, I've got to say that definitely wasn't your average dealership.
Absolutely not. I mean, the site is 7 acres in size.
Absolutely huge, and the fact it's got its own relaxation area with a babbling brook and the wildlife, amazing.
Pretty epic. Right, off we go then.
Where are we going now?
It's a surprise, but my friend, you are going to love it.